was built to last. With the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past. With all I'm achieving, got my foot on the gas. Never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's.
Hi there, everybody. Happy True Crime Tuesday. This is Cutsy. And hit the like and subscribe button on your way in if you would. I would be ever so appreciative. Well, so today, I'm going to talk about some things that popped up again from a case that's been ongoing. And I'm also going to try a technique that I have been wanting to try. I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but the pop art design. And I thought, since it's March and St. Patty's Day is going to be coming up here soon, you know, some people like to wear nails. They like to be green so they don't get pinched, but they don't necessarily want shamrocks and, you know, gold coins and leprechauns all over their nails. So I'm going to try this pop art design in this bright neon green that I have. Now, it's regular polish, so it actually took me 2 days to do this set because I sat and I polished the green. As you can see in the set above, I did that first, but I did the green first. I did 2 coats of the green and then let it dry completely overnight. And then I went in and I base coated with matte base coat because I find it is easier for me to paint on matte. Now, that may be different for someone else. I wasn't real excited about the smoothness of it, though, and I had forgotten a tip that I had been given a while back, and so I'm going to pass this on to you. If you want a really nice, smooth, matte finish with matte top coats, you can take gloss top coat first, a nice self-leveling gloss top coat. Cover the nail. Cure it according to directions. If it needs to be, if it's the kind that needs to be wiped, wipe it clean completely. Make sure you don't have any stickiness on it, nothing. And then go over the top with the matte. Again, cure for however long. Some mattes you have to wipe, some you don't. So, you know, follow the directions and I guarantee you'll get an awesome, flawless matte finish on your nails. But I am using a combo. This is I think I showed you the number of the polish. I thought it turned out to be a really nice, kind of neutral for different skin tones, pink for underneath that. Well, first of all, for the 2 nails that I'm going to do a little bit of nail art on, and the other one that I did just the French on, the French tip. And so I'm going to be doing all of that. And, while you're watching me create this work of art and stress and freak out because I had never really done an entire set like this before. I've done one nail here or there, but they were short. They weren't long like this. And so I really got the use out of my striping brushes. And I cannot stress enough that I for so ever thought that I could not do a lot of these techniques. And I would sit and I would try them. I would try them on friends. I would try them on myself. And I would end up just angry and taking it all off and going back to my basic, you know, gemstones and stickers and just kind of abstract lines and dots here and there. But what I learned is if you get the right brushes, you can create almost anything on a nail. Like, it's endless. And as long as you learn to kind of steer that brush, it's just like driving a car. You're going to go around the curve if you know how to make the car or the brush go around the curve. And I found out what I was doing before is I was fighting it. It's almost like trying to turning the wheel left when the road is curving to the right. It doesn't work. So it really is just getting the right brush and just keep trying every time. Now, another thing that I did, because number one, I don't have any gel polishes that are UV light that match this color or color scheme. So, excuse me, I'm going to go old school because this is how I was originally taught to do nail art. And I am going to use acrylic paint and my paint brushes to create this design. Now, I'm still going to let them dry for a few hours, and then I will cover them all in the matte top coat. But these paints are like $1 a bottle, and you can get every single color that comes under the sun. They have really cool racks to hold them, so no matter what your craft is, you'll really enjoy doing it, because there's just, like I said, there's so many neat colors. And oh yeah, and here I go dropping the nail, so that was fun, because unfortunately it's not like UV polish. It's a real pain to fix it. But what I have found is, and this is another little trick I was taught, if you get a dip or a divot in that nail, take your finger, put it in nail polish remover, and then just barely any pressure, lightly kind of rub around and buff out the spot that you've dinged, you've crinkled, whatever. Let that completely dry, and then take another coat of whatever polish or color you're doing and go right over top. There won't be any bumps, wrinkles, lumps, nothing. It's the easiest way to fix it in the world. And then that way you don't have to go through and get out your stuff and take everything off and start with prep already. Which, by the way, I would like everybody to look at my nails on my hand. These are the set of press-ons that I put on last week. I have absolutely no lifting. I haven't broken any, and I am a boy mom. I have a little one, and I have a big one. I am running around all day long, fixing toys, helping with homework, doing laundry, dishes, dinner, unscrewing batteries and toys is one. Just constant. And I use my fingers for everything. My fingernails for everything. They're my tools. And I'm telling you, the biggest thing that people dislike about press-ons is they say they fly off. I have not had one single one fly off. I've had nothing lift. Like I said, I haven't had to re-glue anything. I don't have any areas that I see that have, are getting any air to them or water underneath. And so it really, really is about prep. And how we talked about how you take a file and a file or buffer, and you need to buff that nail off. But you not only need to buff your nail and that's shiny off of your nail, you need to do it to the nail itself. And if you do that and put your glue on and really make sure that all those edges are set down and all of that is pressed down, you're going to get longevity out of these nails. You really, really will. And all of my gems are still on too. I have not lost one gem. So again, that's my favorite glue. And these nails, it's all about prep. You prep your own nails the right way. These can last just as long as an acrylic manicure can. Bottom line, it's simple. And I'm proof of that. I'm also doing nails. My fingers are getting nail polish remover, alcohol, and acetone on them, and my nails are still great. So, be your best own advertisement, right? So, all right. On to our case. Okay, so some things have been happening all along in the Kohlberger case, the Idaho 4. Those poor college students that were just, it's horrible. But in the recent days, there was a motion filed to allow the 911 call and the text messages into evidence. And I thought I printed out the text messages, but I did not. But I do have the 911 call. I printed this all out. One of the things that it said is this was the requirement. In Idaho, the Court of Appeals viewed the requirements for excited utterance as follows. To fall within the excited utterance exception, an out-of-court statement must meet two requirements. First, there must be a startling event that renders inoperative the normal reflective thought process of the observer. And second, the declarant's statement must be a spontaneous reaction to that event rather than the result of a reflective thought. Whether a statement falls within the excited utterance exception is left to the sound discretion of the trial court. In ruling on the admissibility of a statement under the excited utterance exception, the trial court considers the totality of circumstances surrounding the statement. The circumstances must be considered include the amount of time that elapsed between the startling event and the statement, the nature of the condition or event, the age and condition of the declarant, and the presence or absence of self-interest, and whether the statement was volunteered or made in a response to a question. And they've stated this case, State versus Doe, 140, Idaho. Calls to 911 can also be deemed present sense impressions and or excited utterances. And so basically what it is they were trying to decide whether or not the 911 call could be declared an excited utterance and or hearsay. So if you're in a car accident, if you're involved in a crime, whatever, if you say something to a police officer, to an EMT, whatever, it isn't necessarily always going to be deemed relevant for court. And so that's what they're doing. They're trying to decide. And they did. The judge ended up ruling that these statements would be allowed. The statements to the 911 operator, that is. So here we go. We have... here's a little bit more of a description. One of the cases, Bemis versus Edwards, where an 8-year-old victim's statements to paramedics during a 911 phone call were made within approximately 1/2 hour of the last lewd act and were admissible under excited utterance exception to hearsay rule. Victim was in obvious distress and lapse of time was not so great as to render exception inapplicable. So, it says, in the case at bar, most of the declarations made were present tense impressions. HJ, which I believe that's Hunter, I can't remember his name, located the unresponsive body of Xana Kernodle and informed BF and DM, sure we know to be Bethany and Dylan, to call 911. EA was present at the time. All declarants personally received the event, i.e. Kernodle unresponsive. The majority of the declarations were describing to the dispatcher, Carolina Kelvin, what they were perceiving. Present sense impressions. Those statements relate to Kernodle being passed out and not waking up. The declarations were made immediately after HJ discovered Kernodle's body. Some declarations made would also be considered excited utterances. Those statements include, oh, and they saw some man in their house last night, yeah. As well as the heaving, breathing, and crying that can be heard throughout the call. The declarants were responding to a startling occasion, discovery of the unresponsive roommate. The statement regarding a person being home is in direct response to why Kernodle might be passed out. All statements were made while the declarants are processing what's happening and were made before an opportunity to reflect and fabricate why Kernodle was unconscious. Clearly, the statements of BF, DM, EA, and HJ and the dispatcher fall within the hearsay rule exceptions. The response that the judge held was as follows. It said, further, even if the 911 call is hearsay, the exceptions for present sense impression and excited utterance apply as the statements made by the callers, i.e. the surviving roommates, HJ, another friend who had arrived, were made immediately after HJ discovered Miss Kernodle's body and instructed roommates to call 911. That the immediacy of the statement offers no opportunity for fabrication. Regarding the emotion in the callers' voices, Judge further held the evidence was relative as to why law enforcement was sent to King Road on November 13th, 2022, as opposed to just EMS, when the call was for an unconscious individual. The testimony was deemed relevant to the effect it had on dispatcher Calvin and was not cumulative of Officer Nunez's testimony. So here we go. We have the 9 dispatch. It's got a code here. It shows, dispatch, man 1, woman 1, another man 1, man 2, man 3. So we'll just read through this because there's two, it's a little confusing. But anyway, dispatcher. 911, location of your emergency. Answer. Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what. What is the address of the emergency? Caller. 1122. No, don't. Dispatch. What is the rest of the address? Caller. Oh, Kings Road. Dispatch. Okay. And is that a house or an apartment? Caller, it's a house. Dispatch, can you repeat the address and make sure that I have it right? Next caller. This would be woman 1. Listen, I'll talk to you guys. We live at the right, so we're next to them. Dispatch, I need someone to repeat the address for verification. Same woman. The address, 1122 King Road. Dispatch. And what's the phone number that you're calling from? Woman. What's your phone number? What's the rest? Dispatch. Okay, and tell me what's going on. Woman 1, which I believe is probably Bethany. One of the roommates who passed out, she was drunk last night and she's not waking up. Caller 1. No, we saw. Dispatch. Okay. Caller 2. Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Dispatch. Caller back to woman 1. Hi. Dispatch. And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep on the phone. Stop passing it around. Woman 1, which I believe to be Dylan. What is going on currently? Is someone passed... excuse me. Can I just tell you what happened, pretty much? Dispatcher, what is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now? Female 1. I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m., dispatch. Okay, I need to know what's going on right now. If someone is passed out, can you find that out? Woman 1. Yeah, I'll come. Come on. We gotta go check. But we have to. Is she passed out? She's passed out. What's wrong? Dispatch. Dispatches the ambulance. Caller 1. She's not waking up. Dispatch. Unconscious, 1122 King Road. Now we have the second dispatcher. 70 is en route. Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way. That's dispatcher 1. Caller 1. Okay, maybe. They're talking between the dispatchers again about sending the ambulances out and copying. Multiple RPs on the dispatches. Multiple RPs are reporting parties on the phone advice saying the roommate on scene is passed out, not waking up. Believes she got drunk last night. And something about the male being in the room with them. Being around. And they hear copy, 20-year-old female, unconscious, da-da-da. Okay, now we have A2. This is, I think, female 3 or male 1, I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, it's Evan. Female 1. Okay? Dispatcher, okay, and how old is she? Caller, she's 20. Dispatch, 20 you said? Caller, yes, 20. Here, do you want to talk to him? Dispatcher, hello. Okay. Hello? Hello? This is now the third person on the phone. Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people. A2. Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone. Dispatcher, is she breathing? A2 says, hello? Dispatcher says, is she breathing? A2, no. Okay, en route. A2, Bethany or Dylan, I need you to talking to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them. First female, Dylan. Okay, hello? Dispatcher. Okay, I've sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. Female 1. Okay. Dispatcher, is there a defibrillator available? Send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. Units responding, reported, and parties advising. And there's some unintelligible things from caller 1. Then we have the dispatch saying, okay, if there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. Female 1, we don't have one. Dispatcher 2, unconscious, not breathing. Female 1, do you have a defibrillator? 3. Q3, yep, which I believe are the police. Dylan is the first one. Yes, we have one. Dispatcher, but are you talking to the officer? Dylan, yes. Dispatch, okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you. Dylan, okay, thank you, bye. Dispatch, okay, Moscow 46 out. Copy. Then next we hear, I think we have a homicide. Moscow engine 20's en route. And then it just says 107, I relayed it. So that was it. That was the 911 call. So, yeah. So I have questions. And first I'm going to say that no, I don't believe that Bethany or Dylan had anything to do with any of this. And I don't necessarily even think that if they had called 911 when they saw somebody, that they could have saved these kids. Because from what I've heard, it sounded like it was just absolutely brutal. But there's just some weird things that she's telling people that, you know, we've got Dylan telling people she's absolutely frozen in fear. But she's texting her friend. Nobody's calling the police. Nobody's doing anything. It was alleged that she had said, I believe that it was actually in a police report where she said, I didn't know if what I was saying was real. So then it got me to thinking, you know, these kids were all out partying. Was she on something that made her believe that she might not be really seeing what was in front of her? Or was she on something and afraid she was going to get caught? You know, people handle things differently. And, you know, when they uttered, one of the text messages was, you know, Xana was wearing all black. And did they think that maybe it was her at first? You know, they had been warned because of their partying by the police, you know, to stop having these huge parties. Like there was parties going on in the house when those girls weren't home. So who knows who was in and out of that house half the time. The one body cam shows them having to call one of the girls so that they could call someone else that was there and tell them to get out or whatever, or turn down the music. You know, was she afraid that calling 911 and it ended up being just somebody hanging out, you know, left behind from the party, was she going to be the one getting everybody in trouble for nothing? You know, was she overreacting, basically? I've had moments like that in my life where I've seen something and I haven't quite been able to believe it, and I'm thinking, am I overreacting? Is this as bad as what I'm seeing? Because, I mean, our brain does funny things when we're scared, you know, and I just wonder, too, how close were all of these girls really? We know that, we know that Maddie and Kaylee were close, but, you know, Beth and Dylan and Xana, like, did they just live in this house together, basically? And you had the two friends that were best friends living upstairs, but the rest of them maybe weren't that close to be able to even know if the sounds that they were hearing or whatever were just them being silly, being whatever, or close enough to feel that they needed to check on them when things first started happening. You know, so, and the dog, he was so used to seeing people coming and going all the time. I mean, you'd think, I think that if I was getting, I hope if I was getting attacked that my dog would do something, but I honestly don't know. I mean, she could just go crawl somewhere and hide. She could just go show the robbers where the milk bones were. I mean, she's, you know, you just never, again, you never know. And I don't know, it just seemed, the whole thing seems odd. So I'm interested in finding out what exactly, because we know, you know there's way more that we don't know. This is just a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of information that's been released. And so it will be interesting to see what exactly the events were that night. Now we've heard that were 3 sets of DNA found under, I believe it was Maddie's nails. Maddie or Xana, one of the two. So I just kind of wonder, you know, did he do this by himself? What do you think? There's so many, there's theories out there already that he had help. I've heard that he was a cleanup man. I've heard that it was absolutely possible that he did this himself and that there's an explanation for why the 3 unidentified DNA samples were unidentified. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And if, you know, we just do kind of quickie talks about this stuff on here. But there were 2 channels that I've watched. I watched today and yesterday that went into some of this paperwork and kind of went down memory lane on some of the statements that were talked about the car, about Linda Lane, about all of these things that I had completely forgotten about. One of the channels is QueenBee, and the other channel that did another really good deep dive today was Cluminati. And so I'm going to put, if I remember, I'm going to try and put links to their channels in my description, because they really, really go in depth, and they've got a lot of the information that we had forgotten about. So, yeah, check them out, and I hope you enjoyed our little True Crime Tuesday and watching me attempt to do pop art nails for St. Patty's Day. Like I said, you can be green. You don't have to be shamrocks and leprechauns everywhere. And I think this is just kind of a cool summer look too. And can you think about that with your tan and that bright green? So yeah, everybody have a wonderful Tuesday evening, and I will talk to you later. Cutsy out.
All the lights take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? Flashing red lights, driving at night. Windowless ride, feeling alive. Nothing in sight, forever in flight. Follow those lines, we'll make it this time. Blurry street lights, work as a guide to memories that we're making tonight. Oh yeah, we'll make